Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Is the coronavirus an outpouring of God's wrath? Some people think so. My response, no. But before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a comment or a question, add it in the comment section. All comments are welcome. Whenever we have these sort of terrible things that happen that begin to affect the masses, people's first knee-jerk response is that God is pouring out his wrath, or that God is punishing people. Back in the early 80s, when the AIDS epidemic hit, people were saying it was a direct result of the gay lifestyle. There were those on the Christian right who were saying that it was because of the gays that God was pouring out his wrath. Well, the problem, of course, is that AIDS soon left the gay. It expanded beyond the gay community, and now almost anyone is getting AIDS through blood transfusions, use needles, down low lifestyle, right, where a partner is going out and contracting AIDS through other means outside of the marriage and bringing it back home to the marriage. Whenever you have these kind of things, and now the coronavirus, you have people saying that maybe God is punishing the world. But keep this in mind, that innocent people are dying from this disease as well as every other disease. Here's my point. You're going to know when God is striking the world with diseases. For example, you go back in Egypt. Remember, there was no question that God targeted Egypt and said, I'm going to plague them. And the same thing with Israel, his own people. He prophesied and told them, I'm going to punish you. Same thing in Jesus' day when he spoke to the Israel. He wept over Jerusalem and he says, you're going to be punished for your unfaithfulness. And even prophetically, when you look at the book of Revelations, you're going to see that the angels pronounce God's specific judgment. Here's my point. God doesn't do drive-bys. In other words, God doesn't come along and just says, hey, I'm going to drive by and just kind of hit like the idiot gang members who just shoot up the place. God is very specific when it comes to judgment. And that's the one thing that you can see, that he is very specific. Now, why is this disease happening? Why did AIDS happen? And people forget about things like herpes. Herpes wasn't deadly, but it's certainly a lifelong disease. For that matter, cancer. Right? Why does cancer happen? And of course, cancer happens to good people as well as bad people. In fact, in some cases, you would think that cancer would happen to bad people, but they don't experience these kind of things. Here's my point. We live in a cursed world. And just in the course of the cursed world, which we can trace back to Adam's sin, that Adam's sin alienated us from the life of God. Thus, the opposite of the life of God, okay, was the curse. And sickness, disease, poverty, those things are the result of it. In other words, why is this disease happening? Well, we don't always know why it's happening, or in a sense, maybe where it came from, but we do know that when it got here, it was spread through people. And now you have people who are coming in contact with other people. That's how it is spreading. Same thing with AIDS. When AIDS come, AIDS wasn't a direct result of God's judgment, okay, on the homosexual community. Because think about this. If it was, the gays are still around, right? In fact, they're growing. In fact, they're becoming even more influential. Have you watched television lately? In other words, there's not a television show on that doesn't have a gay character. So did God miss? Or was it just a time for the 80s, okay? A lot of times people stoke fears and people stoke their own displeasure based upon their own ignorance and biases, and they misrepresent God in doing so. We don't know the always the why, but here's what we do know. When God decides to judge, okay, you're going to know it, and you won't have any problems with understanding, hey, God is judging. Until then, don't ascribe to God what you don't know. We just don't know. In the meantime, we're going to pray for the victims, and also, hey, just be vigilant, right? Be vigilant. Wash your hands, and and let me also say something about even with sickness, with cancer, because sometimes people ask, why do good people, die? Now, I'm experiencing this right now, where a good friend of mine has passed away of cancer. And of course, the closer it is, the more aware now we are of it. At least in my sphere, I'm aware of it, that, my good friend has passed away. Here's the point, though. Did God do that? No, I don't think God did that. You may say, well, why did she get cancer? There are a lot of reasons why people get cancers. Let me exhort in this. Do regular checks up. If you have health care, use it. Now, if you don't have health care, that's another issue. Go to clinics, free clinics, right? Emergency rooms, and try to get regular checkups. Oftentimes people say, well, we don't know why this person is suffering. Well, you don't always know the ins and outs. I know myself that when I had a cancer scare, you know what? It wasn't God, trying to tell me something. No, it was my own negligence. But I think back and said, hey, maybe I could have been more frequent, especially when it comes to cancer. I know I'm doing sort of a public service announcement here, but the more you check up, the sooner you check up. Sometimes the difference is you find that people who will not be stubborn, right, and get checked and go to their doctors more frequently, have a better chance of catching these things before they take off. Here's my point. Even with that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be a good outcome. Leave it in God's hands, and I leave it in God's hands. All right, guys, that's my perspective. And like always, please like and share this video, and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. Till next time, I'll see you then.